We head to Region 8-3A on our 2020 Region Rundown here on AccessWDUN.com. Bo Wilson across the screen, as usual, from Jeff Hart. How you doing, Jeff?
Yeah, we're just down the street, Bo.
Just really down the street.
Yeah, we're only separated by, 30 miles maybe or something like that. I don't know.
Just down the street, that's all it is. But yeah.
There's no traffic.
Zero traffic. That'd be correct.
No traffic.
Well, Jeff, we are heading into Region 8-3A. Only one area team in Region 8-3A, and that is East Jackson. And we had a chance to catch up with Coach Pettis, to talk about his going into year number 2 for him and his philosophy and how it's going for him, implementing his style of play and how East Jackson is growing as a football program.
Well, it is. And I tell you, it's hard to talk to Coach Pettis and not kind of feel like I'm ready to put some pads on and go play for him. He kind of has that infectious personality. And I really seemed, last year when I met him for the first time, it seemed like it was a good fit for East Jackson. And I think that even more now. The Eagles have always fell victim to the fact that they're in one of the toughest regions in the state in their classification. They always have been. No different this year, even with some changes. Gone is Jefferson, quarterfinal run. Jackson County moved up to 8-5A. Morgan County moved over to, 4-3A, I believe is what it is. And then, what you did bring in, though, you move out Jefferson, you bring in Oconee County, and they were the state runners-up last year in Class 4A. So, you're not getting really a whole lot of help there. In Stevens County, that's a traditional football program that's kind of been on a downward slope the last 2 or 3 years. But from what I hear through the grapevine, starting to assemble some more talent over in Toccoa. So, that could be a team to look out for. It's going to be an interesting region because you got East Jackson, Franklin County is still in it. Hart County is still there. Monroe Area. Those are your 4 teams that were still in the region last year. Of course, you add in Oconee and Stevens. It's going to be a pretty good region. And, and honestly, I think it's wide open, Bo. I think it's where you had a lot of talent move out. Oconee lost a lot. Franklin's still kind of rebuilding. Monroe Area may be the team really to kind of look out for. But I think the Eagles have a real shot here to make their first playoffs since 2010.
I would agree with that. And talking to Coach Pettis and just kind of seeing how he felt about the program, it seems like that he feels really good about the program and about the direction that it's running in now. He's got some folks he's got to replace, but as we talked to him, one, Nino Brown, it was a top rusher, over 1,000 yards rushing for him, and he had some really good games last year. So, that's one of the things he's going to have to replace, but he really seemed optimistic about who was coming back.
Well, he did. The quarterback's coming back. He was also the top rusher coming back, but only with 72 yards. So I think they got to rebuild that ground game, but I believe he told us they had 2 or 3 offensive linemen that are coming back. They had a defense that had 17 takeaways last year. They finished bottom. They produced 17 turnovers. So that's, a defense that was opportunistic. And I think that, there's some chance to build on that. They got key guys coming back off that unit. If they can cut down on the turnovers from last year, they had 22. That will go a long way in kind of flipping some success that they have. I really, I think that this is a team to, that I think that we can be on the lookout for that's got a real shot. You look at Franklin. They've had only 2 winning seasons since 2001. So that's not a traditional football team. Hart County was 10-3 last year, made a quarterfinal run. They do return Malachi Thomas at quarterback. He was 18th in the state last year in passing, but they had, and he had just under 2,000 total yards last year. So, I think Hart County might, be a team along with Monroe Area. They return quarterback Salation Slaughter. He makes the all-name team already.
No doubt.
I mean, with a name like that, you know, he was their top passer and rusher, 1,600 yards through the air, 830 on the ground, 25 combined touchdowns. They also returned a running back, Xavier Williams, 350 yards, and their top wide receivers back. So I think when you look at the Purple Hurricanes, they look like they're built to kind of get back where they were the last couple of years. They also had 14 interceptions as a unit last year, but 12 of them graduated. 12 interceptions graduated. So if they can find their defensive spark a little bit, I think there's a team. Well, Oconee County, 13-2.
Well, Jeff, if you look at this region, I mean, automatically you're going to say, okay, Hart, Oconee, Monroe area, 4-spot.
Wide open.
Now, granted, you take a look at that, those schools, those are traditional powerhouse football programs. Now, you throw Stevens County, as you said earlier, we've heard that Stevens County is going to be much improved this year. So Stevens has a rich history in football. So who knows? Stevens could be up in the top 3 in this region by the end of the year.
Well, look, they could be. I mean, it's hard to look at them. They went 1-9 last year. I mean, that's just that's kind of unheard of.
Unheard of.
It is. I mean, they were -3 on turnover ratio, but they lost their top 2 rushers. They do return their quarterback, but he had more interceptions and touchdowns last year as a passer, and they only they averaged 218 yards a game on the ground, but again, they graduated nearly 2,000 yards on the ground in offense. So we're hearing that they're kind of reloading, but they got some pieces to fill. So again, that kind of plays into the hands of the Eagles in this region.
Well, this region will be interesting to say the least, and it's going to be interesting to see Coach Pettis in year 2 and how East Jackson continues its upward trend on improvement.
Well, I agree. The only other team we really haven't talked about yet is Oconee County. They were 13-2 last year. Again, finished as the Class 4A state runners-up and losing just a heartbreaker to Blessed Trinity, which is a 3-time state champ in that classification, 17-14. But you look at the Warriors now. They have a tradition in football, but they only 2 or 3 times have they reached the level that they got to last year. But they lost their quarterback from last year, 2,000 yards, 30 touchdown passes. They lost their top 3 rushers that combined for over 2,100 yards and 24 touchdowns. They do return 3 of their top 4 receivers from last year, but when you look at the skill positions that they lost at quarterback and running back, I mean, that's going to be, so what will they have? They had 30 takeaways as a defense last year. They were plus 17. That's one of the reasons they got to the state championship game. I think it's just going to be hard to sit there and say, well, the Warriors, when you look at all that they've lost on just the offensive side of the ball, are they a team that you're going to pencil in in the playoffs? I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. I think right now, if I looked at 2 teams that I think will make the playoffs out of this region, I think it's going to be Hart County, Monroe area, and I think the rest of it is wide open. And the Eagles won 3 games last year. If they get more improvement this year under Coach Pettis, I really think, Bo, I think they're going to be right there challenging for a playoff spot.
Well, let's stop waiting and wondering, and let's hear from the man himself as East Jackson's head coach Cam Pettis enters year number 2, leading the Eagles.
Coach, y'all had a great start, and then you got into an insanely tough region schedule. You finished 3-7, but it really looked like you guys made a lot of progress in your first year. I know you were coming in from out of state, and when we talked at the beginning of the year, you could kind of tell when I was at practice that things were going to be a little bit different over there in Commerce this year, last year.
Absolutely. I was very proud of how our seniors kind of bought in and kind of laid that foundation. We got a long way to go, to compete in our region because it is such a daggum good region, which is so much fun. But, yeah, I thought we did a good job, getting our system in, raising our expectations, letting our guys know exactly where we're at, where we need to go, and what we need to do.
Well, how are things looking coming? I know, there's so much weird stuff going on. Nobody knows when we're going to start, and everybody's in the same boat. But what do you know from what you had coming back as you looked for the second season?
I think the big thing is we just got better relationships with our guys. They know me very well. They know our whole staff. Our staff knows them. We've done a really good job during this time of staying connected with our guys. I mean, we do a lot of live chats with them, Skype, or, if we go with Google Meet or Zoom. And then I'm even, we're using all of our social media outlets just to stay in contact with those guys and continue building those relationships, even though we are apart. And that's a big thing. We all kind of know exactly where we're at, and we can actually, I think, play to our strengths of our team because we know exactly how everybody is and what we can do. And then just getting just the familiarity and the continuity that we kind of talked about when I was wanting to come here is I wanted to be here for a while, build something special. I didn't want to leave and go anywhere else. I believe in that. I believe in this community. I love it. My family loves it here, and we're enjoying every minute of it.
Well, Coach, we're talking new regions here today. The new Region 8-3A. You lose Jefferson, Jackson County, Morgan County, but you gain Oconee County, which in the state championship game last year, and Stevens County, which is supposed to be improved this year. What are your overall thoughts on the new Region 8-3A?
Basically, you switch Oconee for Jefferson, kind of like we talked about earlier. It is what it is. It's a great football region. I think we lost one team, but besides that, top to bottom. We know Monroe's going to be loaded. Hart's going to be loaded. Obviously, Franklin. I saw them last year. You want to talk about great indicators. Their JV program last year when we went against those guys, they did a really good job. And I think they're really buying into what that coach is doing there, too, as well. So, it's just going to be a tough, hard-nosed region. We actually stepped our non-region games this year to kind of help us region this year.
Well, you bring back Hugs quarterback who had a pretty nice season. However, he's also your leading returning rusher, only 72 yards because you lose Nino Brown, who had a great season last year. How do you see the running back situation, and who are you plugging in, and Greg, how much you think he's improved coming into this next season?
Yeah, Greg's done a great job at quarterback, and he's been pushed hard. Randy Smith, who actually started a couple games when Greg was hurt, has really pushed him hard. And the good thing about those two kids, if they don't, whoever wins the starting quarterback job, the other kid will start somewhere on the offensive skill position for us and help us out with that depth. But you're right. Replacing Nino was such a great running back. He did a great job for us. But I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to probably have to share the duties a little bit more this year with our running back position than we had to last year with Nino because he was such a workhorse. But, we got some talented kids, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do, with great Gary Maddox. R.J. White did a great job stepping in last year, and then also made Marquise Green. So we got some kids there to take a look at, and I'm excited about
it. Defensively, y'all produced 22 takeaways. That was y'all were pretty ball hawkish, but you do return three of your top three tacklers from last year, and how do you see the defensive side?
Yeah, I'm really excited about defense. Like I said, I think we got 7 ballers back going to help us out this year. And our defense staff does a great job with that, Coach Newton and all the coaches on that side of the ball. And I think we're just really tailoring it to fit the strengths that we have. We got 4 defensive backs back there returning that are fantastic ball hawks and football players, and then we incorporate some linebackers, and then our defensive line, which we got some young guys competing right now, and they did a great job in the offseason in the weight program. So we really can't wait to see what those guys look like up front. But we know on the back end we're going to be really, really talented and be able to go get that football.
Well, Coach, let's talk a little bit more about your philosophy in your second season here. I know we talked some about it early on, but East Jackson, when you came to East Jackson, they had struggled for a few years, in football. How is implementing, your philosophy and how are the kids buying into what you're putting in, what you're doing, what you're bringing to East Jackson?
And I think it just goes back to, you lead by example, you work hard, you bust your butt, you show that you're there for your kids, and you give them a vision, and your staff, they're right along with it. I'm very fortunate because I got a great staff with me helping me do all this together. And you got, remember Bear Bryant used to say, he always used to hire coaches that were smarter than him. And that's kind of like my philosophy here at East Jackson. I definitely want to get fantastic coaches, and we've got a great staff. And like I said, just the kids getting to know us better. Making those connections not only with our high school kids, but also, we're doing a great job getting into our elementary schools and also our middle school program just to make sure that they know who the coaches are, that we're going to be here for a while and we love them and we're going to help them, get ready for the next level.
Me and you had talked last year, I think, when we first met. East Jackson seems like it's in the position. It's in to be a hidden gem. It's so close to Athens. You can have relationships, with not just Georgia but other teams and other places that may attract talent. Do you feel like you're on the verge of maybe bringing East Jackson into the forefront to where it's a place that people might want to look to if they're going to move into the area?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a prime candidate of that. I absolutely love it here. My family loves it here. That's like you said, everything about East Jackson is so fantastic with the people. The people here are phenomenal. They're just great blue collar working people, give you a shirt off their back. And, our school's fantastic. We've got a great administration. Our facilities are phenomenal. I just love everything that we've got there at East Jackson. And, and I think just having that continuity, and letting people know this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to be here for the long haul. I think it's going to really help us build each year.
Is it going to take perhaps just one playoff season, one winning season to kind of, bust open the dam?
It's kind of like, pretty much like you said, you get that spark, then all of a sudden that fire, really starts burning hot. And that's kind of the philosophy here. When we talked about, when I talked about coming here, it was about building it and doing it right from the foundation moving up. And that's kind of the philosophy that we got going on. We're sticking to it. The kids have really bought in. The community's bought in. And I know we're going through some tough times right now, but I just could not be more proud of this football team and this school and this community right now.
Okay, speaking of going through the tough times with the COVID-19, how you guys been doing with that? I know a lot of the coaches are, just about every coach is doing the Zooms or the Google Meets or whatever video conference way you could do. How is that going for you guys? You able to stay in touch with your players, and are you doing what some coaches are doing with your position groups, like putting stuff in through video conferencing?
Yep, that's a great question. Yes, we are. So usually every Monday we have a team meeting, and that team meeting we go over grade checks, different things like that. We go through that extensively with our guys. We also check in with them about the workout. We got a workout program posted on Google Classroom for a football team. And then we usually have special meetings on Monday as well, kind of going, like you said, through the install. And then throughout the week, we have position meetings with our defensive backs or linebackers with the coaches, where they're actually going through what we would be doing during spring football. They're going through our install basically online through Huddle and with a playbook, make sure we know what we got to do. So whenever we do report in the summer, we can actually hit the ground running.
Well, Coach, you got any predictions for Region R8-3A?
Man, it's going to be fun. I know that it's going to be tough, but I love it. I love this competition that this region brings, and I love playing the best. Man, I'm telling you, it just gets my competitive juices flowing, and I know our kids are feeding off that too as well. And it's like, just bring it on. Let's go.
So no championship predictions.
Hey, we'll let our play speak for itself.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time today to talk with us and give us a little insight to the East Jackson Eagles.
You bet. Thanks, Bo. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man.
Have a good day.
Welcome, Coach. Thank you.